Hey guys, good morning. It's Tony. So let's talk a little bit about inflation and what has happened in the past, because obviously we've never had this kind of inflation before. We've never had such a high push to the upside. Um, and let's actually go back. Have we ever had inflation be? Yeah, I mean, we did. I mean, we've had inflation before in the 70s and again and again even higher is that 40s and again in the 19 damn back in the 20s. So we have had inflation peak at these levels before, right? But we're trying to figure out is, are we going to drop from here significantly, or are we going to stay trading side, or are we going to stay, sideways and basically stay on a side inflation trail from here. At 8.5, I mean, it doesn't look like you have any major market structure apart from here, which happened back in the 50s. You actually came back up to peak of like 9.5 and then continued its descent to the low side. But that's really historically, that's the only thing that you could possibly actually use. But here's the thing though about inflation. Last inflation was at 8.5%. We had that CPI come in at 8.5%. And let me tell you why we cannot come at anything close to 8.5. If we do have any kind of CPI report coming in at 8.5%, or maybe, I don't know, 5%, give or take on the standard deviation, then I think we have a serious problem. If we come in at like 8.2%, 8.3, 8.4, 8.5. If we come in anything at 8.5 or higher, I think it's complete. Shit's hitting the fan, right? 100%. And I'll tell you guys why. Gas for the last month has dropped dramatically. And I said this in my previous video. Gas has dropped from $7 to in some places under $5, which is relatively close to a 50% drop. And the fact that we've dropped so much in gas prices means that it should 100% push inflation down by a lot. And I mean by a lot. Like, we should definitely expect this report to be something like a 7%. Like a 7% CPI report. I think right now at 8.5, you're hanging steady, but it does look like, logically we should be dropping and we should see a significant drop. So I have to expect something like an 8%, anything between a 7.5 and like an 8% inflation point from the CPI report. Because I think if we come in at like 8.2% or higher, I think that's an extremely horrible sign for inflation, because even with that dramatic drop in gas, it means that it's affecting us everywhere else. And expectations right now are that CPI comes out low, right? That inflation comes out low, but core inflation is expected to keep rising, which is a huge problem, because you have energy rises, you have food rises, you have, things in electronics that are rising. You have regular everyday basics that are rising because of inflation. And again, that's the very big problem here, is that even with gas dramatic, if we do come in at like an 8.2, 8.5 or higher percent inflation point or CPI report, it shows you how bad things actually are. Because even with the gas dropping, around 50%, it shows that, inflation is still slowly trending up, right? Like, you have to see a dramatic drop in inflation. Like, for me, it has to come in at like 8% or under, right? That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it to come at 8% inflation or a little bit under, because after seeing gas drop so much in the last month and a half or so, like you have to expect a huge drop in CPI. And again, as of right now, I have seen gas prices go back up, and I am expecting gas prices to start slowly going back up. I think gas actually hit its bottom, and I actually think that we're going to slowly go back up, which is, again, bad for inflation, because I think that for next month's CPI report, right, for the month of September, I do think that you're going to slowly see that increase in gas price from here to there. So I would not be, I think $7 would be too much, even though we did hit that in a lot of parts of the country for the US. I think $7 gas would be a little too high, but I would not be surprised if we do go back to like, $6 and like 40 cents or something. But again, this next CPI report, I can't stress this enough. Like, we have to have a really good number, because if we have a really bad number, or a number that's not as a dramatic drop as last month's, while gas dropped like 50%, like, it just shows you how bad inflation really is. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.